How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Super excited about this one. It's the third video in a series of videos covering the marketing funnel. So if you haven't seen number 1 or number 2, I'll link down to those below. Make sure that you watch them. But in this one, we're going to be talking about messaging and branding. You might be wondering, like, what the heck is that? What does that have to do with the marketing funnel? I thought that was about like clicking inside a computer and making sure that people see my business. But the thing is about marketing that if you don't have a business that people want to hear from, it doesn't matter how much you spend on advertising or how much you do anything, you're never going to get any customers. And so the way that you get people to want to hear from you is by creating a message and by creating a brand that's spot on. And let me tell you, there's so many people advertising online today that if you don't have this just perfect, you're really going to have a hard time getting a positive return on investment, because honestly, it's just people are too saturated. They get so many different persuasive messages every single day. So by the end of this video, you'll understand what messaging and branding is and how to apply it to your marketing funnel before you even go to market. So an example of a company that does this really well is Chick-fil-A. If you've ever seen Chick-fil-A's billboards or any of their marketing, it's always the cows. And the cows are rebelling against chickens, right? They're saying, like, I saw a billboard the other day that was like and subscribe to chicken, which, by the way, if you haven't liked or subscribed to this video, go ahead and do it. But it's like and subscribe to chicken, or eat more chicken is their brand message, right? And it's funny because the cows are doing that. So the cows are saying, you got to eat more chicken. And we relate to that. We think it's funny, but it's also very consistent branding on the part of Chick-fil-A, who does an awesome job of making sure that their message is branded into our minds. Another company who does this really well is Apple. They consistently have rebelled against the PC market, Microsoft just like separating themselves from everybody else to the point where they're like, oh, are you a PC person or are you an Apple person? And people can tell you which one they are because Apple's done such a good job of just separating themselves from the market and creating a brand that's distinct, where the user interface is much better than a PC or an Android. Therefore, they've been able to create a tribe around their message. So it doesn't matter, these companies, it doesn't matter how good the chicken is at Chick-fil-A, it doesn't matter how good the iPhones are at Apple. I mean, it does, but those things, at least when you're starting out, are secondary to what your messaging and your branding is, because if you don't get those on point and nobody knows who you are or what you're about, or you're not talking about what that person really cares about, then it doesn't matter how much money you spend on advertising again. So there are a few ways to go about this. One, if you've been in business for a while, like let's say you're an orthodontist, I work with a lot of orthodontists, and you've talked to literally hundreds of patients, and you've had patients that have complained to you, you've had patients that have had awesome experiences, you can just like go look through the reviews on your website or on your Google, and you can look at everything that they've talked about, and you'll get a really good idea of what people value. Another option, if you're just barely starting out trying to select a niche to go into, is just to conduct market research. When I was looking to go into the orthodontic niche, that's what I did. I just got on the phone with as many orthodontists as I could, and I asked them about their business model. I asked them about what experiences they'd had with marketing agencies in the past. I've asked them about all sorts of different things that they knew that I didn't know about them. So when I went to create paid ads, or I went to create organic content to post and put in front of them, I knew what types of things, they needed to hear, what kind of lies they were believing about the social media or orthodontic industry at large. And then also I knew what things would really resonate with them because I had talked to so many of them. And as I've gained clients and lost clients and had good experiences with many clients and bad experiences with some, I've learned what things they want and what things they don't want out of an interaction with my company. And because of that, I can put all of that stuff into my marketing. And because of that, I can put all of that into my messaging and my branding. So one thing that I've realized that a lot of them really like is that we're orthodontic specific. So I make sure to always talk about that in my messaging. And my brand has ortho in the name, OrthoPatients. It's very specific to the industry. And so they know that we're specific to them. We only run campaigns for orthodontists. We're much more specialized than other agencies. So that gives us a leg up on the competition when it comes to the sales side of things, but it also allows us to create marketing messages that are much more specialized. And if an orthodontist sees my logo even, they're gonna be like, oh, what is that, OrthoPatients? I'm not sounds like they might be able to get me more patients, but I'm not sure, and they'll go visit my website simply because of the fact that it's messaged and it's branded to them. So the very first step to figuring out what your messaging and your branding should be is just going to be niche research, as much of it as you possibly can. Industry research. Talk to people who have lots of experience in the space, see if they're willing to get on a call with you. Pay for it if you have to, because this is just going to pay off down the line. If you're a local business owner who's had lots of customers, again, go read through your reviews. Interview some of your customers. I did this. I did probably like 10 to 15 interviews with orthodontic patients and asked them why they chose their orthodontist, who recommended them, how the experience has been, what their favorite part about it was, just because I wanted to understand my market's market to be able to market to them better and make sure that my messaging was on point and that I was talking about things that people actually care about. So again, to reiterate, number one is just to do as much research as possible. Number two is going to be testing different messages, because you never know, there are things that are going to crop up again and again and again in your research, but you never know which things are really going to just drive the point home and resonate with different people. So there's probably one core message that you're just going to be like, yes, this is always what we need to be saying, but also there's other small things like features you can talk about, or guarantees or benefits or testimonials that you can mention that will attract people that otherwise wouldn't be attracted to you. I know these are kind of like high-level concepts, to really bring it down for you and kind of ground it, I'm going to give an example from an amazing book called Storybrand by Donald Miller. He runs this like small business boot camp where he helps people clarify their marketing messages so they don't waste so much money on marketing. And this is what I'm talking about, that you need to clarify the message, clarify the content you're going to put out before you start spending money, because you don't want to spend money on something that people just don't care about. In the book Storybrand, and also in his boot camp, he goes through pretty much, he says 7, but I'm just going to boil it down to 6 in this video, things that you can focus on to help clarify your message. And I'm just going to give examples. Again, I work with a lot of orthodontists. A lot of orthodontists watch this channel. So I'm going to give an example of what it would be like for an orthodontist. So he talks about creating a story brand, how stories are so special to our minds. In society, we love movies, we love books, we love when a comedian tells a story, that we want to create a story around our company, and not really around our company, but around our customer, our potential customer, so that they'll eventually become a paying customer. At the first part, it starts out with the protagonist, right? The character. And that, for an orthodontist, this is going to be your potential patient. And then there's also always in a story a problem or a villain. And in your case, it could be like crooked teeth, gaps in your teeth, but also on like a more psychological level. It could be that your smile's holding you back in your professional life, or your smile's holding you back from being totally confident. Depending on what you want, that could be your villain. And then the guide, this is always going to be you as the doctor, or the attractive character, the local celebrity, the person, the face that represents your brand. So I have a brand, OrthoPatients, but I'm the face that represents it. So people identify better with people, and that's why it's good to have a face for your marketing, not just a brand. And so if you're the doctor, obviously you're going to be that in your orthodontic practice. You'd be the attractive character. And so you're the guide that's helping this character, who is the potential patient, overcome the villain, which is the smile or whatever's holding them back in their personal lives when it comes to self-confidence. You're helping them with all of these things as the guide. And so as the guide, you're going to give them a plan. And that plan is, hey, we're going to come in for a free consultation. It's totally free, but we're not going to charge you. And then I'm going to give you a game plan for your smile to help you overcome this villain. And then you're going to give them a strong call to action. So that's number 5. So 1 is the character, 2 is the problem or villain, 3 is the guide, 4 is the plan, and 5 is the call to action. There's 2 types of calls to action. 1 is going to be your transitional call to action, and the other one is a direct call to action. So transitional call to action is like a free consultation. Hey, just come on in, or even a step back from that is like, hey, just click on this ad. Just submit your information. Just come in for a consultation. And then once they've come in for the consultation, the direct call to action is going to be, hey, I want you to change your life through a better smile. Here's the quote. This is what it's going to be monthly. Will you commit to this? Will you sign a contract? But before then, you're giving them all sorts of transitional call to action. So when you propose, so to speak, or you ask for marriage, you've already gone through a lot of dates with them. So that's number 5, call to actions. And then the 6th one, this is why we do everything. It's the happy ending. And so you need to be talking about this constantly throughout the whole process. And the happy ending for somebody as an orthodontic patient is to have the smile of their dreams, is to have the confidence that they've never had, or to just get over that issue with self-confidence, or to close that gap that they've always hated. You need to talk about all of these happy endings, because at the very end, that's what they're shooting for. Again, the steps to clarifying your message and getting good branding and messaging out there is, A, is going to be doing as much research as possible on what your customers actually want. And then on the other side of that, it's going to be giving it to them in your marketing, well, giving it to them in your products and your services, of course, but in your marketing, giving it to them through this story brand framework. Now that you've talked to your niche, you know what their problems are, you know what your customers' issues are. You also know what their problem or their villain is, and maybe it's not crooked teeth for their kids as a mom, maybe it's like having to drive really far to the orthodontist or never being able to get in for an appointment. Maybe that's the villain. And so that's the thing that you need to talk about. As the guide, you show this character a plan, and then that plan gives them lots of different calls to action until the direct call to action, which you ask them to purchase. And then there's a happy ending that you're also talking about through the whole shebang. So once you've done the niche research over here, you know what the happy ending is. You know how to take someone from their current situation, which is like unhappy with their smile, unhappy with how their life is going, to happy with their smile and happy with how their life is going. And so you need to clearly bridge that gap in your marketing and create a good message and a good brand around that. Okay, so I know that was a lot to cover in this video. It's very, very valuable stuff, and you should definitely not skip this step. So make sure that you go do this research, make sure you go register. You can register for a free StoryBrand account and kind of go through these steps on your own to clarify your marketing message. Make sure that you don't skip those steps. As an additional example, I'm going to link down to an Apple YouTube video that really shows like how they've had their messaging on point and what they've done to create this messaging so it is so on point. Because there's so many people, again, in a sea of advertisers, you have to learn how to stand out. Okay, so that's it for this video. In the next couple videos, we're gonna be talking about, now that you understand your customer, you have a message to bring to them, how you create the content, and then how you distribute that content, and then how you nurture those leads to eventually become customers. So I'm super excited about the rest of this marketing funnel training. This is only video 3. I don't know how many videos there will be, probably close to 10. And so make sure that you stay tuned, subscribe, like if you got some value out of this video, comment, let me know which part you liked the best. And with that, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for stopping by the channel.